This is a shoulder flexibility tutorial, particularly noting how shoulder flexibility affects the actual shoulder roll itself. So here we go. So, quick minute about how I noticed shoulder flexibility affects the shoulder roll. So feel free to comment if you have any other suggestions. But basically, a couple years ago, I dislocated my shoulder, my right shoulder, at the glenohumeral joint. And what I found was when I was recovering from it, one of the most restrictive exercises was doing a shoulder roll again. And it wasn't because I didn't want to land on the foot that I had broken at that time too, but it's not because I didn't want to land on my shoulder. Not that I feared my technique was wrong, but my shoulder flexibility had been limited so much that I could only actually depress the scapula when I was in that shoulder roll position so much. So my whole rotator cuff, the whole complex in there was just really tight. So I would shoulder roll and it would pop out because it would not be stable in the range of motion that it needed to be for an effective shoulder roll. So that's how I discovered it for myself. Like I said, feel free to comment if you have any ideas of your own. But first, do some stretches, okay? Use a dowel, okay? It kind of keeps your range of motion that you're targeting. So if you wanted to hold it here, I'm targeting a different range of motion for stretching my shoulders than if I'm holding it up here. So just keep that in mind. But one of the main tests that I like to have is if you have a shoulder injury in your rehab, make sure that when you recover, you can hold a dowel behind your head, touching at the parietal or the occipital bone on the back there, the thoracic spine vertebrae, and the sacrum. So it can touch all three of those bones with your shoulders back as far as you can, with your elbows pushed back as far as you can. And then you can go do stuff like this to stretch it out if it's not. This one as well. And anyways, you stretch it out until you feel better, and then you do shoulder rolls. Okay, so we're thinking about how complex not only the shoulder joint, right? The glenohumeral joint is different, okay, from the shoulder girdle, which is the scapulae and clavicle and upper thoracic portion, basically. So how does that whole complex work together? Remember, there's muscles going through each other. It doesn't all just like wrap across your back and wrap across your chest, so you only got to work out your chest and back. Your muscles go through you on a more of a frontal axis as well. So you've got to think about the entire mobility. Make sure that whatever you do when you're training, train smart, but always adapt your movement to the environment, not the other way around. Otherwise you end up with something where your environment can generate more force than you can biomechanically take, than you're biomechanically trained or conditioned to take. Okay, so always generate force as much as you can with your own body. That way you know that the force you can generate, or the force you're going to be taking, is the force you're generating, right? If you can generate the force and you're strong enough to generate it, you can take it, no problem. So just keep that in mind.